Daddy, aka Lost Treasure 78, aka Randy. We're doing a pickup video. Andrew decided he wanted to make a YouTube video as well. We're actually going to set him up his own channel. He likes watching Hobby Kids TV and is it Five Nights at Freddy? Is that what it's called? Yeah, and he likes playing Minecraft and things like that. So we're going to record a little bit of that later of him playing and put him up on his YouTube channel. And we'd love for you to check that out too later on once we get it up and running. Today we're going to go over some pickups that I've done. Andrew's going to help me by putting them in the box after I show them to y'all. So get over there, get ready.
Ready.
Alright, the first pickup was actually from Goodwill. Oh, looks like we lost some merchandise there. Okay. The first thing I picked up is a series called Venture Brothers, which was a game for, I'm not really sure. It says 8-bit, which may be the way it's recorded. I can't remember. Venture Brothers was for the Atari or Coleco or what, but anyway, it's a series on TV apparently. And I picked up season 3. Kind of bad, probably starting in the middle of the show, but it was half price, which makes it $1.50. So I picked it up anyway. I figured it's worth a shot. If I really like this here, then I'll go back and get the first and second season. Next pickup I got from Goodwill is Ghost in the Shell 2: Innocence. It's a very good DVD, or a very good movie. Again, I picked it up at Goodwill. It was half price. So for $1.50, it was worth adding to my collection. I don't have a lot of anime right now, but I used to watch a lot of anime stuff and trying to pick it back up. So, and then last but not least, actually one of my favorite games for the PS2 is the original God of War. Again, it was $5.05, but it was red tagged the day I got it, which made it half price. So I got it for $2.50. So, you really can't beat it for $2.50. Next we'll have is some of the systems I picked up. Now, everything I'm going to show you next was all one pickup. It was something that I got off of Facebook. Sometimes I run across some good stuff there. One is the original Game Boy, which came around about 86, I think it was, or 87, somewhere around there. But it's complete with the back, which is kind of unusual. So, there you go. The next thing I picked up was a Indigo Purple Game Boy Advance. It is missing the back cover, and the screen looks like maybe someone used it to sand something. But, however, off eBay, glorious eBay, I got a brand new screen and a brand new battery cover for like $4 shipped. In some other videos, I'm going to show you how to replace the screens on these, the regular Game Boys, the color Game Boys. They're actually pretty simple. It's really not hard at all. And I can also show you some other little tips and tricks and show you the tools that you'll need if you ever need to take these apart. Up into the DS, they're real easy to replace the screens and everything. These are a little trickier if you have to go inside because there's a lot of small springs in these. It took me probably about 4 or 5 of destroying them just to figure out how to really make them work. But now I can pretty much go through these things blindfolded. So, another good thing. And the last system that I picked up was a Atomic Purple Game Boy Color, complete with battery cover, which is very rare to find. Usually battery covers are gone. It's always tape. However, the screen on this one is in excellent shape. Really just needs to be cleaned with a little Windex. The overall system is in excellent shape. The only thing I've noticed that's really not all that great looking is the serial number sticker. But those really weren't made to be very long lasting or to really uphold because they were put on way later in the making process. It's almost the very last stage of when they're making a Game Boy. Even today with the S's, it's almost the very last stage they put the serial number label on it. So, now, as far as games that I've picked up, we'll start out with some of the Game Boy games. This is WWF Superstars. One of my personal favorites, back from, in the mid-'80s. Apparently, this belonged to Abe in '97, and he paid $10 for it. So, maybe in '97 it was a good price, Abe. It might still be a good price today, I'm not sure. But, not too fond on wrestling, per se. But, again, it was kind of fun. And this would have, like, the Ultimate Warrior, Macho Man when he was in his prime and all that. Another game that I picked up, and I actually kind of liked this game, and I purchased one for the 3DS, and it really wasn't all that great. It wasn't what I thought it was going to be. It's a good game, don't get me wrong, but it's not traditional in that sense, but it's Battleship. But this is actually a traditional Battleship without the mess. You don't have to pick up all the little pegs and all the ships. Actually, a pretty good game. I like the classic board game, of course. Another one I picked up was Home Alone. Never played this one on the Game Boy. I have played on the Super Nintendo and actually enjoyed it a lot back in the day on Super Nintendo. I'm imagining the Game Boy cartridge is probably about the same gameplay-wise. Of course, graphics aren't going to be as good. But, you know, again, not a horrible game, I would imagine. One of my favorite games for the Nintendo, or for the Game Boy, and it was a little different from the average Mario, is Super Mario Land. The label's a little rough on it, but this actually was kind of like Mario Brothers 2 clashed with, I don't know. It didn't have that traditional, like, original Mario feel to it, but more like the Mario 2 meets Mario 3 type feel to it. It was actually a pretty good game. Another good one, don't care too much for the Kirby games, but Kirby's Dream Land. Decent game. Again, played it when I was younger. Not that much appeal to me now, but again, I'm not a huge Kirby fan. I'm more of a Yoshi fan. These two are not ultra rare, but kind of rare for the Game Boy. And then, both of them are actually pretty rare on the regular Nintendo. But it's Hudson's Adventure Island 1 and 2. I actually have both of them. They do have a little bit of writing on them, but I will show you in another video how to take that writing off real easy without compromising the integrity of the cartridges and everything. And back to what I was saying earlier, in another video I'll show you how to actually open these up along with Nintendo games and whatnot and clean them using a non-abrasive system. A lot of people use Q-tips and alcohol, which isn't bad. It's just a temporary fix though. It doesn't really get the dirt off. The system I'll show you will get the dirt off and keep it off. I know some people use Brasso, which isn't good because it can melt the chip. I've heard of people using sandpaper, which is, no. No sandpaper. Okay. Next pickup on that was an Odyssey 2 game, Showdown in 2100 AD. I personally don't own an Odyssey or an Odyssey 2, but I always like to have a cartridge to test with, so I will add this into my collection in case if I ever do pick one up, because you'll see in another video I actually picked up something kind of rare today that I really never owned, but that's a whole nother video. You'll have to check it out later. Then I picked up this Atari game. It is ultra rare. These are extremely hard to find. It's one of the most popular games that were on the Atari, but it's just so hard to find. It's almost as rare as E.T. It's Pac-Man, and I'm just kidding. It's not rare at all. Everybody and their mama owned this one. But again, came with the bundle. One of my favorite games. Another thing I picked up was a Game Boy magnifier for the original Game Boy. Not a bad little accessory. Almost a necessity for that Game Boy, especially for the light. If you weren't playing in direct sunlight, all the way up really to the SPs, you know, they were pretty bad. You really couldn't see all that well. Okay, a couple PlayStation games that came with this pick. NASCAR Racing and Real Fishing. Rednecks Unite. Real Fishing I actually enjoyed because the way you fished was you actually fishing a real video of a stream, and like the fish looked kind of real. Hence the clever name of Real Fishing, but spelled with a fishing reel. But again, not a bad game actually if you like fishing. It's about as fun as Real Fishing. I would imagine, I don't drink, but I would imagine if you probably drank about a 12-pack before playing this on PlayStation, you'd get lots of enjoyment out of it. So, one of my favorite games that I picked up for the Super Nintendo was my favorite as a kid, other than the Ultimate version of it, was Mortal Kombat 3. One of my favorite fighting games. Unfortunately, it was a little lamer on the Super Nintendo because Nintendo's strict policy. You just don't have the same effect when you drop kick somebody in the head or you rip their spine out and they sweat. It's, yeah, it's a little weird. But thank you, Nintendo, and your censorship. But yet we let Conker's Bad Fur Day get away with it. So, which would explain why his last came on the 64 and probably why the 64 is no longer with us. Next pickup point with that is actually, they're all tangled, but, oh, that sounded good, is 3 regular Nintendo controllers. These are always worth their weight in gold. They're very hard to find by originals. There's tons of retro companies that make them, but they break and they're horrible. These things are pretty indestructible. The only thing I ever have go wrong with these is the actual buttons themselves kind of wear down, the start button and the select button. The regular, like the red and all that, they really don't, but the start and the select, because they're made of rubber, they deteriorate a little bit. But I actually get some shipped from Canada, and so when they're bad, I just replace them. And 99% of the time, a regular Nintendo controller is perfectly okay. I don't have to do any repairs. That's back when they actually built stuff to last. I mean, I know I sound like an old man talking about a 55 Chevy, but it really is that way with old Nintendo, Super Nintendo, the cartridge-based stuff. That's why I prefer cartridge-based over CD-based today, but I realize the cartridge doesn't have the capacity that a CD does. So, one of the other games I picked up for the PS2 that come with this bundle is Call of Duty Finest Hour. Actually, I kind of liked the original Call of Duty games because it wasn't so much about the online play; it was more about the gameplay or the story mode and everything, which is what I really enjoy about Call of Duty. The reason I don't care for Call of Duty Online too much is because of people like my brother who get on there and, like, the minute you spawn, they blast you and they camp your spawns, and it's just no fun when you can't at least run around the board for 3 seconds before getting killed. In my opinion, that's not fun. I guess if I was that good and I was doing all the killing, I'd have a different attitude, but unfortunately I'm not. I'm pretty good, but not that good. What we're going to have to do, or what we're doing next, is the game cases that came with this pickup. One is an old Indigo purple Advance case. Obviously, it's made for the Advance that I picked up earlier. Another thing that I picked up was a Switch and Carry Nintendo DS Lite. Or, yeah, the DS Lite, or a 3DS will actually fit in this. As you can see, it has the place for it. But, again, typical carrying case for your DS Lite. Another one that's actually for the Game Boy Color, and this is actually kind of popular, and a lot of people like these. It's for the Game Boy Color, as I'll show you there. But it's a Pokemon. I don't play Pokemon. I do know there's a huge following for Pokemon. Anything Pokemon related. I'm not sure what this bird is, which character he is. It's Pikachu. I know that's not his name. I don't know what it is. But, anyway, one of the carrying cases. Another one of the carrying cases that came with it is a traditional old gray Game Boy carrying case, which was made for carrying the 86, 87 model Game Boy, the original anyway. Nintendo branded, as usual. Now here is the ultimate original Game Boy carrying case. If you didn't have one of these, you might as well just throw your Game Boy in the river. It was just a piece of trash without this carrying case. If you had this carrying case, people like stalked you because they knew you were like beyond cool. And that is the ever elusive pinkish and black Nintendo Game Boy fan pack. Gotta have a fanny pack. Without a fanny pack, you're just not cool. Not really. This was very rare though, but unfortunately in the 80s, fanny packs were all the rage. You could put your Game Boy in this and your bag phone on the side, and yeah. Another cool carrying case for the Game Boy was actually this big old carrying case. As you can see on the inside, it had places for your system, the magnifier, your AC adapters, extra batteries. The only thing that was really lame about this carrying case was if you didn't have the plastic holders for your games, they would not sit in here. They would be all backwards and slip and flop around and stuff. Another thing you could do is you could always remove that and stack them in there too if you wanted to. Yeah, obviously you don't have the plastic cases. That was probably the better thing, but again, what I used to do as a kid, it seems pretty lame now, but I remember having one of these and this broke. So I cut it off here and here, and I would run around and act like I was playing a big Game Boy. Yeah, I know. At the time I thought I was cool, but hey. What I know, I was 13-ish? No, not even that old. 8 or 9. Also with the pickup, 2 Nintendo branded RF switches. Always good pickups when you pick up the accessories you need with it. And the thing that fell earlier, seems to be okay, is a Nintendo branded power supply. Again, those things are worth $10 a piece easily. Moving on. Oh, well, yeah, I forgot these. Yeah, these 2 books, Killer Instinct and Primal Rage. Sorry. For the Game Boy. This I actually have on Game Boy, and I don't have the book, so that'll be a nice addition to add on to that. I like completing my games. So, then also a pink stylus. Now, please don't everybody rush the comment section to purchase this. It's just not for sale. Now, my favorite game, which actually originated on the Super Nintendo, up until Ocarina, it was my favorite, but it was Zelda: A Link to the Past. This actually has the 4 swords on it as well. What I liked about this one is, of course, if you have 4 people, you can play the 4 swords version, which as a kid I did. We all had Game Boy Advances, and so we'd all sit around and play the 4 sword adventures, and it actually caused a lot of fighting because you have to help each other. Kind of reminds me of like the new Super Mario Brothers for the Wii U. That is not a family bring together; it is a family wrecker. Because what happens is when one player goes too far ahead of the other player, it drags them into pits and all that. That doesn't cause loving family hugs, it causes fights. So, way to go, Nintendo, again. I'm trying to stay a family system, but you're actually ripping them apart. Last but not least, the Nintendo games that I picked up. They come with this. Now, the first Nintendo game is one of the ones that in my original collection I had, where I had over 646 games, this one eluded me. I could not find it anywhere. It was extra, extra rare. Almost as rare as Stadium Events. And that is Mario and Duck Hunt. Once again, not rare at all. However, though, this has actually gone up in price. I used to could not sell these things for $2. I'm a collector first, a reseller second. And so a lot of times I resell stuff that I already have to make more money to purchase more stuff to add to my collection, which is what a true collector does. And at one time I had over 25 of these and could not sell them for $2 a piece. And then for some reason, all of a sudden, they're going for like $10 on eBay after I sold mine for like $1 a piece to somebody. The reason for that being, I think, is now, this generation, we're the ones who grew up with Nintendo and we're reliving our childhood. I have a lot of my friends who are starting to hit me up in the past couple of months wanting to buy Nintendos, Super Nintendos, systems they grew up with. Atari never really caught on for that generation. Atari was at the beginning of my life. I was about 5 or 6 I played Atari, but I really never cared for it that much. I really didn't get hooked on gaming until Nintendo. But another one I picked up, never actually played it, is Total Recall. I imagine you play Arnold and you get to run through and do pretty much everything you do in the movie, which is how much all these games are. You might get lucky, though. This may have the girl with 3 tits. You never know. Oh, wait, it's Nintendo. She'll have 3 blobs. Work with that. Another game that I loved a lot on Nintendo and on my Game Boy, of course, it came to my Game Boy, and I loved it. I love strategy games, puzzle games, things like that, sim games, stuff like that. Things we have to think, like crossword, stuff like that. I don't care for Sudoku, but like Brain Age 2, Left Brain, Right Brain, Price is Right, game shows, Jeopardy stuff. I love all those types of games, puzzle games especially. And this was one of my favorites, and that was Tetris. I used to love stacking up as many as I could until it was almost to the top, then dropping on the sides and getting the Tetrises. And getting like 3 and 4 Tetrises in a row. It's kind of hard to do, but was fun to do when you could do it. Another predecessor to that I really enjoyed, same principle basically, except you get rid of bacteria, is Dr. Mario. Another good classic game, help you get rid of the bugs. Andrew, do you like Dr. Mario? Yeah, Andrew says he wants to kill bugs. Another great classic game, I'm not a big racing fan. There's only a handful in Nintendo that I enjoyed. One was RC Pro-Am, the other was Cobra Triangle. But this one I really enjoyed, and it was motorcycle racing, and it's about everybody's classic. It's Excite Bike. Just something about it, it was kind of dumb, just racing over and over and over again, and you could overheat your bike and all that, but at the same time, it was just a lot of fun. This one, this is the last game that I had. I picked this up outside of this whole collection, but I picked it up for a friend and actually paid retail for it, and that's Galaga. He really wanted it. I had another friend that had it, so he sold it to me for $10. So I'm going to send it to my friend in Indiana that I play EverQuest with, which is an online role-playing game. And he really wants this, Life Force, and Contra. So I'm working on it, so I'm going to give that to him. I do believe that's it for this pickup video. I do have one last thing. These I actually paid retail for, and I normally don't show that on pickup videos. But I picked these up for a friend of my wife that she works with her, and she's trying to get her husband something special for her as an anniversary, something he don't have. But these I actually paid retail for. The first one is Castlevania. Very good game, very hard to come by. It's not ultra rare, but it's kind of rare. And unfortunately, it was $25, and that's what I actually paid for it. The second one is Castlevania 2, Simon's Quest. Again, this one's not really all that rare, but very popular. And that was $15. For those, that was about the going price on eBay. I'd rather buy locally to help support local retro businesses, as well as not having to wait on something to ship and get lost. And that was the case with this third one. I ordered it. I actually paid $30 for it on eBay before I knew this store existed. And the reason I ordered this, like I said again, I didn't know this retail store existed, which is still a pretty good ways from my house. It's about an hour and a half from my house. It's almost not worth the drive. But I had to email this guy. It took me almost 2 weeks to get this game. After a week of not even having a tracking info, I emailed the guy. I'm like, look, can you ship this out? It's for somebody for an anniversary. And he's like, oh, I'm sorry, and finally shipped it out. That's the downside to eBay buying. But it was $30, but it's Castlevania 3. So I got her the complete set of Castlevania games for her husband. I'm pretty sure he'll enjoy those. I know I like them. Simon's Quest was actually the first one I ever played because that was the most popular. But again, I've ended up playing all of them and enjoy all of them. So, all right, YouTubers, we appreciate it. We'll love you to subscribe, watch the videos, like it. Come here. Andrew's going to tell everybody goodbye. This is his first YouTube video.
Bye, guys.
See you later, guys. And again, like the page, subscribe to the page, check out our community page.
And see gaming videos too of me playing Minecraft on my Vita.
That's right. We'll show some later on of Andrew playing his Minecraft on Vita. I hope you enjoy it. Have a great day.
Bye.